front of you, and do they meet with your approval?
Move to approve.
Second.
A motion second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed. Motion carries. Thank you very much. I don't see anybody jumping up to do visitor comments, so I'm going to move forward. In your packet, council members, I'm going to be declaring National Tourism Month, and I appreciate Mr. Irvine and friends for putting that in front of us, and just wanted you to know that. Under my report, our Polk County Homeless Prevention Meeting, we had a meeting on Monday morning early, and Chief, Councilor Roden, and I were there. There were about 50 people involved. Lots of the folks that are providing services throughout the region were there talking about what the opportunities were, and frankly, I was encouraged that there's lots of resources and people who are interested in doing things. It's just a matter of coordinating all the efforts. At least it sounds to me like coordinating the efforts, having some central coordination so that there is somebody who knows all the parts that are going on, because there are many, many moving parts, and homelessness is a lot more than just any one thing. There's a lot of different parts. So anyway, that continues, and that's the effort between the cities, the tribe, and the county to move forward. The Mid-Willamette Valley Council of Governments, as you know, I serve on the legislative committee, and we're meeting with representatives of the Association of Oregon Counties and League of Oregon Cities about what their interests are, and a lot of it gets down to infrastructure as we prepare for a legislative session where there's very preliminary concepts and learning what leadership at the Capitol building is talking about. Had the pleasure of being able to speak at the museum grand opening. It was a fun event. Really enjoyed what I saw and the people that were there. So I understand that over 300 people attended that day. During the speechifications, we've had about 125. So that was wonderful. And finally, last night, I also was honored to be able to speak at the Rotary Student Awards at the high school for freshmen, sophomores, and juniors. They're students that are being recognized in, I think, 18 different categories, everything from mathematics, social studies, theater, and other areas, recommended by their teachers for outstanding work. It's kind of it's a bit of a pat on the back and encouraging people who, seniors get lots of awards, and it's really nice to see so many young people. There were more than 50 young people there, and as many parents, and it was really encouraging to see the passion, the energy, both of kids and parents, and people moving forward, doing good stuff. We sometimes hear all the dark and the doom and the gloom if you turn on television, radio, or the internet. But it was wonderful to see motivated young people and parents helping make things happen, and it was a pleasure to be there yesterday. The days kind of jumbled a little bit. Mm-hmm. So with that, I've asked Councilor Kaur, who is our representative to the Mid-Willamette Valley Homeless Alliance, to give us a brief rundown of what's been going on. She's been our representative there, and I know she's been doing yeoman's work there, and so with that as an introduction, Councilor Kaur, to you.
Thank you, Mayor. I think this is my second year with the Homeless Alliance now. What you have in the packet is simply an overview. That's for your information, some links so you can follow if you're interested in more information. The Mayor's right, there's lots of working pieces and parts to addressing rural homelessness. I participate in the monthly Mid-Willamette Valley Homeless Alliance board meetings. These are good opportunities not just to manage the continuum of care operations, but to network with resource providers and other electeds to discuss ways forward. I also do a regular check-in with Polk County Commissioner Gordon and Brett DeMoe to coordinate county objectives such as local resource providers. As you know, we now have people at the annex to help our community, and also to administer the $1 million received from the legislature and the $3.7 million that the Homeless Alliance got from HUD to address youth homelessness, particularly in rural areas. I'm also engaged in community conversations with Councilor Lopez in Monmouth. He is also a member of the Homeless Alliance Board, but most recently was appointed to the Community Action Agency Board, which I think is going to be a force multiplier for us because we don't have an infrastructure for homelessness in this county, and we need to build one, and we need to have people on boards to help make that happen. So I give a lot of credit to Chris for signing up to do that. Councilor McKeel, also in Monmouth, who I work with quite a lot, we have been focused on her work associated with the Youth Subcommittee of the Homeless Alliance. Carol and I are working with Community Action Agency and Polk County Community Development Corporation to hopefully build a youth shelter here in Polk County. The plan now is to model it after Taylor's House in Salem. And if you remember the news from a couple years ago, there was a student at McKay High School, Raul Marquez, who lobbied the legislature for money to build a youth shelter. And so Taylor's House offers safety, stability, structure, and resources to homeless youth in Salem, but also youth at risk. And one of the things that I've learned from working with homeless committees and whatnot is a lot of adult homeless folks were homeless as kids. So it's really important that we break that cycle early and try to figure out some solutions. That money for Taylor's House, or some facsimile of Taylor's House, will come out of the $3.7 million. And regarding the $1 million from the legislature, you heard from Brett DeMoe, you've heard from a couple other people on this subject. The vision is for a one-person, possibly two-people office that will be the centralized homeless point of contact here in Polk County. And I'm hoping that once that office is set up and staffed, that we'll get some regular updates from that individual or individuals on what's going on in our community. But lots of people working lots of different pieces and parts of this. I know the mayor's involved with his leadership group, Chief Mason's in that, and a lot of folks are making some headway. But I think it's going to all come to a head when we get this office set up, and we can rely on that office to do the yeoman's work, so to speak.
Great.
Thank you, Mayor.
Thanks. Thank you for your continuing, and I really want to call this out because I know that it is an intense group, getting an awful lot of work done, and sometimes in the middle of the day, which necessitates, use of vacation times or creative work-life juggles. And so I just want to publicly thank you for that effort.
Thank you, Mayor.
With that, I'm going to continue forward. Chief? Sounds so much better just to say chief than Mr. Interim City Manager.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. I have a very brief report tonight. First up, the River's Edge Summer Series lineup is going to be unveiled or announced Thursday, May 12th at the Independence Downtown Association's Happier Hour that is happening at the Brew, 6 to 7. So if you really want to know what's going on, Happier Hour at the Brew. Minette has got the draft budget disseminated out already to the budget committee members, and that first budget committee meeting for Minette is May 16th. And then as a reminder, our first budget committee meeting for Independence is Wednesday, May 18th at 6:30. That's it, unless I have any questions.
Great, Chief. Appreciate it.
I have a few. And I apologize, I would have sent these to you via email, but I had a busy week. And so if you don't have answers to this, I will follow up in an email and we can figure this out later. But there were some items in the management team notes that caught my attention. Gerald reported something about the safe routes to school and working with Polk County to set up that meeting. I'd like to know when that meeting gets set up. I mean, I've been tracking this for like 3 years. I'm really, really waiting for this thing to happen. Patrick mentioned a community garden on Gun Club. I'd love to know more about that.
We could probably answer some of the community garden questions. I at least know the location where someone was asking whether or not they could establish a larger garden. It's the same one that's now established at Henry Hill by the pool. That area is just near the bridge, kind of at the low part. The city owns that property there. To the west of Gun Club Road, right along the creek, that grass lot.
Okay, I think I know what we're talking about. Usually some cars parked on it.
No.
I think, no? Okay.
No. So
Okay.
it's northwest of the bridge.
That does nothing for me, Chief.
Okay. It's that way from the bridge. And it's just a fairly large grass lot there. that
Okay.
I haven't heard whether we've made any progress, but I know we were looking into it.
Okay.
So
There's lots of deer in that area, too.
Yeah.
it's across the creek from Colonia Amistad, if you know where Colonia Amistad is.
I do.
Essentially, it's across the creek from Colonia Amistad.
Okay.
And they're coming to the Parks Committee meeting next week, to essentially propose or pitch their idea. So it's in the very early stages.
Is it Colonial Amistad that's pushing this? Okay. It's the Parks Committee that,
Well, the Parks Committee has been interested in community gardens, but it's actually Community Services Consortium
Okay.
that's kind of proposing the idea.
okay.
And so obviously, there's a lot of moving parts there in terms of access, water, bathrooms, gardens, all of that kind of stuff. But this is sort of that first step. They're going to come and say, here's what we'd like to do, here's how we propose approaching it, and then we'll see what happens.
So an extension of what they have over at Henry Hill. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't actually know exactly what they're.
Okay, I know they have a garden over there, so, okay, all right, perfect. You mentioned the IGA for the Homeless Advisory Work Group. Who, when, and what's the scope of that? Do you have any idea?
The WHO are all of the government agencies that are coming together to form that alliance. And the what, it was just a real simple structure for governance in an intergovernmental agreement. The people that developed the draft were Polk County, they're legal, and that's who brought it to the meeting. And the first review at that meeting really didn't raise any concerns. So I figure it's pretty close to good as presented. It was just a real simple governance model.
Yeah, it sounds like more of this building the infrastructure of homeless support here in our community.
Yeah.
That's great. And the last thing, Fred had brought up the trolley. I had mentioned on social media, and it came to my attention that former Councilor Laurel Sharmer is the one who came up with the name Mindy. I think Mindy's a great name for the trolley. I just want to put it out there in the public sphere, so to speak. And that's capital M, capital I, N-D-Y.
You saw that there's opportunities to vote.
I do.
Okay, just making sure.
I'm just putting it out there, Chief, that's all.
Little lobbying for Mindy. Was that it?
That's it.
Oh, that was easy.
Thanks, Chief.
Thank you.
Ms. Butch, a brief finance report.
Good evening. So I really don't have anything to add. I would just take questions. I also wanted to remind you all about the Budget Committee meeting on Wednesday at 6:30. And then there will be the second meeting is scheduled for the 25th at 6:30. There is tentatively the third meeting scheduled. Hopefully we won't get there, but that is scheduled in case. So leave it open just in case.
Gloria, when can we expect to get our packets?
For the budget,
Uh-huh.
we'll give those out to you on that first meeting, and then you'll have a week to go through them and do questions to staff, and we'll have compile those questions and answers for the next meeting.
Okay.
Will that work for everybody?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Great. Thank you. I appreciate the detail in the report. Okay. Mr. Vander, I think you have the next part, which is we have a second reading of the council bill. Did you want to just remind us what the issue is in about 30 seconds to a minute? Because I think we've talked about it. I just wanted to provide.
Yep. So this was before you as a housekeeping measure for a zone map. Some of the items included this piece of property right next to us, right here. Also, like the airport property and can't remember, ExxonMobil station or whatever, at Gun Club and Monmouth, as well as the
Chevron,
Women's Club. It's a Chevron. Yep, there you go. The Women's Club and then the building right next to it, it was essentially 4 areas that was changing the map. 3 of those had historic, in the past, was zoned something different. The one that wasn't was the airport, which is really funny. It's been zoned residential since like 93, which is really strange. But anyways, this would change those items on the map. Yeah.
Thank you.
Any questions?
Appreciate that. We've had conversation and discussion about this before, and so since we were not in a unanimous vote last time, we are now up for our second. And so if someone would like to make a motion, we can get moving.
I would be happy to. I move to read the proposed ordinance, Council Bill number 2022-04, for the second time by title only.
Second?
I have a motion, and a second. Is there discussion on this motion?
Did we ever talk to the Historic Commission about that property? Or we?
Still haven't had a meeting.
Okay.
Further discussion? All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed?
Opposed.
And Councilor Roden is opposed. Okay, please.
I said aye, yeah.
Yeah. Did you want to read that, Karen? Rather than me having to do it?
An ordinance amending independent zoning map and declaring an effective date.
Thank you. Somebody would do the second motion, please.
I move to adopt the proposed ordinance, Council Bill number 2022-04.
I have one motion.
Second.
And a second by Councilor Kaur. Is there discussion? Hearing no discussion, all in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed.
Opposed.
Councilor Roden in opposition. Motion carries. Thank you very much. Okay. Did you need to?
Oh, sorry. Yes, the ordinance has been passed and will be assigned to ordinance number 1596.
Okay. The Independence City Council will now meet in executive session for the purpose of consideration of employment of a city manager. The executive session is held pursuant to ORS 1926602A, which allows the council to meet in executive session. Representative of the news media and designated staff shall be allowed to attend the executive session. All other members of the audience are asked to leave the room. Representatives of the news media are specifically directed not to report any of the deliberations during the executive session except to state the general subject of the session as previously announced. No decision will be made in executive session. This time the council will adjourn to the conference room for the duration of the executive session. Once the end of the executive session has adjourned, we'll return to the open session here in the council chambers. Without objection, we're going to adjourn to the conference room for an executive session, and we will be back hopefully shortly. We'll just go back to this conference. Are we
You got-
back, Karen? Jason, we good? Okay, we're back from executive session. I think we have a motion. If someone would like to put this up, would like to make the motion, I would
I
appreciate.
would love to. I move to authorize the mayor to execute a contract with Kenna West to be the independent city manager at a current salary of,
137,500.
plus to offer normal terms as agreed to between the city and Ms. West.
Second.
Have a motion and the second. Is there discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed? We have a city manager. And I want to congratulate staff. I want to congratulate council. I'm very excited that Kenna West is going to join us. I think she's going to do a great job for our community, and I'm excited for the future. So, yay.
I'd like to thank the chief for his work. He's been a great person to work with. I think there hasn't been anything that has fallen through the cracks that we know of.
And thank you for the Friday updates.
Absolutely.
That's
The
right.
Friday notes are great.
And we still have Chief until the 27th of June. And so that's,
But he's got his calendar started already on
oh
countdown.
yeah, I understand that. So what we'll do now is we'll go, if there's any announcements to do, and then we'll go downstairs in the event center for a work session.
I have an announcement.
Please do.
I just wanted to acknowledge Joan Setniker for taking the Masters Weightlifting Championship for North America. I think that's a pretty impressive thing for a citizen of Independence to do. She is a member of Kiowa CrossFit and their weightlifting team. Her coach, Ruben Martinez, has been absolutely amazing in training her. If we as a community could support her as she goes to the Pan American Championships next month, and then she qualified for the World Championships. And that's just somebody in our town. This is pretty amazing. So congratulations to Joan Setniker, Ruben Martinez, and Kiowa Fitness.
Great. Okay. Without objection, let's meet at 7 o'clock downstairs for the work session, okay? All right. Adjourn to the work session.
Mayor, just to be clear, we're adjourning this meeting.
We adjourn this